Everyone. I hope you guys are having a great evening. My name's Jen Mellon. I'm the 2016 Coast Guard or AFI Coast Guard Spouse of the Year, and I'm pleased to be with Lisa and Cameron, who are part of our Riveter. So tonight we're going to go through and ask them a bunch of questions, but to get to know them really, and understand the story of our Riveter, the challenges and their big wins, how they employ the military spouse community, Shark Tank, and definitely some Q&A. So I'm going to first go to Lisa, and if you can just take a few minutes and introduce yourself and give yourself a
Yeah,
little background.
for sure. Yeah, I actually grew up in Montana, and my parents were entrepreneurs, so I kind of knew the lifestyle of what it was like to have or to own your own business, the kind of the ups and downs of it. And so I always knew I wanted to start my own business. The R Riveter story kind of started when I met a boy, and I don't know how many stories start like that, but
It wasn't
he,
me.
the boy, yes, when I met a boy and I met a girl. But he asked me to move to his first duty station with him, and so I kind of put myself through the fast track of my college career to eventually be put on the slow track of a career. We first started in Fort Benning, then a year later we moved to Fort Lewis, Washington. He deployed there. We moved again and then again. So you're starting to see kind of a trend that I'm sure so many military spouses that are logging in here have also been through. But the picture is I was 26 years old, had 2 degrees, and a ton of moves under my belt. And I really kind of kissed that idea of a normal career away when I said I do. And eventually I found out that it was actually better for me because the career should work for me, not the other way around. So that was kind of where I then met the girl, Cameron.
That's right. Oh,
Nice.
that's funny.
Perfect.
We
So,
ran the company for 9 months together too, and I always laugh that we had just enough time to have a business baby. So more kind of,
Yeah,
well, like
that's
you
funny.
can introduce herself.
Well, I'm Cameron Cruz, and I grew up just outside of Atlanta in Tucker, Georgia. And let's see, I went to college and met my um, future husband in Savannah, Port Stewart, rather. Depending on who I'm talking to, I say Savannah or I say Port Stewart. We dated all through college, got married. I literally graduated on a Saturday and we drove the U-Haul out on Monday. So I was in one place long enough to start and finish my bachelor's and my master's, which I'm thankful for. But it didn't, it wasn't without like 24 hours in between that we left. And I got a degree in architecture. I never saw myself as an entrepreneur. I'm kind of the opposite of Lisa. I always saw myself as a career spouse, so somebody who had a 9 to 5 and fluffy salary. and and so when we moved to the middle of the North Georgia woods for in the 5th Ranger Training Battalion, there wasn't a whole lot of architecture going on, and so Lisa and I decided that if we were going to have something for ourselves, we were going to have to do it, and so that's when our Riveter, the baby, was born. So a little bit about
so
me.
awesome. Thank you. So, is there other reasons as to why you made the decision to start our Riveter? And is there any other further story that you can add to how you guys started?
Oh yeah, lots there. Like I think the main reason was the continual conversations that we're having with between ourselves and then other military spouses about how it's just so difficult to be able to find a consistent income source as a military spouse. I think that there's this like 1950s era military spouse that's supposed to first be the wife or husband and then be able to do all of the duties that come with being a military spouse. But nowadays it's almost becoming a necessity to have that dual income, and at least it was in my situation. We needed that second income, but there wasn't an ability for me to get it. We were in a really small location. It was either going to be a long drive or another part-time job for me. And so we thought, this is, instead of being part of the problem, let's create a solution. And that was really kind of like the beginning steps of our river.
Awesome. Well, great. So, how has or how has being a military spouse affected your journey? I think you guys touched on it a little bit, but is there anything else that you can add to that?
Man, I think being a military spouse really gave me perspective. So, if everything had gone according to plan and I had graduated and gone right into architecture and got a job right away, which if I hadn't been attached to the military in that capacity, I'd like to think that I would have. But I think it really gave me a true humbling. Like I figured out how big the world really was and how small I really, in reality, was. And so, I feel like it gave me a perspective to say that, if I want something, like in order, to build something like that, how much it was going to take and how I had to redefine myself as an individual. Somebody I thought I was going to be one thing, and then it didn't quite go as planned, and what it means to redefine yourself, and how you are in control. As much times as it doesn't feel that way, we all control the outcome of our lives.
I think that's a big item that's in or thought that's in the spouse community right now, right? Where the empowerment and actually understanding that we can control what is in our destiny, right? And what we want to actually do in our journey. It isn't just about being the spouse, it's about being a team and that we can control what's within our own realm. And that could mean starting a company or taking a journey somewhere that is in whatever your dreams might be, but there are avenues that you can do that, definitely. So I
Right.
appreciate.
And I think another thing that can add to that, the common denominator between all of us is that we're military spouses, but the team that's part of our Riveter, we're so diverse, and that's what's made our company so successful, is using all those different skill sets and all the different places that they've been, and being able to come together in this common goal and be able to create something for ourselves. And I think that's what's so great about our team is, yes, we're all military spouses, we have that common denominator, but we have so much more to bring to the table because of that diverse background and the different hurdles that we've been through because of that military spouse lifestyle.
Right. What was a big challenge that you faced along the way, and how did you overcome it?
Every day is a challenge when you run a business. I like to say that it's like having kids. When it's early, the challenges are one thing, and then when you grow up and the business evolves, you have different challenges. You have teenager challenges. And so that's what I've really come to realize is it's really not about where I thought we would go and where I thought we would be, and we would get to this point where we built the business and that's it. Um, hey, Dave. And and so for me, it was more about finding out that it is so much about the journey and that you have to take every day and look at it, as it comes. And there's no end goal for our Riveter. There's just empowerment every day. And as cliche as it sounds, it's just happiness every day.
I think I could probably add, I think one of the challenges that we really had was because we were military families. Cameron and I just got our master's degrees. We didn't have a lot of money to put into, or free cash flow to put into the company. And so we really had to figure out a way to make the company work for us. And so just along every stage of the company, we figured out a way to have the company pay for itself. And so when we started out the company, we were making things all custom made. And then once we were able to have the cash flows to sell from inventory, we just figured it out every step of the way. So we knew the problem and created a solution for it.
And evolved over time, right? Where you can make it a little bit better, just one step at a time. Yeah. So what helped you decide, even with the challenges and beginning to evolve, to take the leap, right? Because that having the dream and knowing what's in front of you, but actually taking the leap is a huge step, right? So what helped you guys decide to do that?
I think the first step is always the most difficult, and you should take it really big because then you can't turn back. But kind of like when they talk about when you sign up for a marathon, take that first big step, actually pay for the race. And for Cameron and I, it was we got the card reader, we signed up for the website before we even had sellable products. We had the idea behind the company before we even made that first step. So it was a great big first step, and then every step after that was just baby steps.
Awesome. So to go back and to talk a little bit more about what R Riveter is, can you tell us more about the products that you have and how do you guys come up with the designs or how do you choose which products to make the bags from?
So I can tie this into what Joy's asking about the brainstorming session. And the whole thing stemmed from Lisa and I sitting down and deciding, okay, we got to do something. We can't go on like this forever. And we were, at the time, Starbucks was running an Indivisible for All campaign, and they were basically providing grants for companies who were providing local jobs to Americans. And Lisa and I were in the car and we said, who needs and deserves jobs more than the spouses of our active duty military? And it was kind of that moment where we said, okay, Starbucks, we see your local American jobs and we'll raise you for military spouse employment. And that's when we kind of had this, the mission was born there. And that's the brainstorming session. And then we decided that, okay, military spouses don't just need flexible income, right? Because there's a lot of corporations and there's a lot of companies that provide flexible income. It was the moment where we had friends and colleagues and team members say, I've got to go home and work on these parts and I have to PCS in 6 months. So how am I going to keep making bags with you guys? And it was this idea that the light bulb went off and we said, we need to provide flexible mobile income. And we're going to do that by making bags. And so our remote riveters make parts and pieces all across the country, and then we assemble canvas and leather handbags in our shop just outside of Fort Bragg.
Awesome. So is there specific are the remote riveters or oh my gosh, are they part of how the design process is or do you guys come up with that and then distribute it out to help for those folks to make them remotely?
The whole entire designs are based off of manufacturability. And what that means is that they're all based on simple parts. So we're able to outsource the parts and pieces to riveters across the country, and then they ship those parts to us. Where the riveters come in is streamlining that process of how to better and more efficiently make those products or those subcomponents. So we have a Facebook group for our riveters, and the community is so strong, and I love going there every day and just hearing their ideas and helping each other out, sending messages to each other on best practices for creating those subcomponents, and they've taken it to a whole nother level.
Awesome. So it looks like Annika had a question of how can you use the military spouse community to increase your business? So suggestion, brand ambassadors. So do you guys have anything that maybe you can speak to for that?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, before Shark Tank, our growth was primarily on word of mouth, and it was basically the organic distribution of the brand via our remote riveters and our families, and just getting out there and saying, okay, we're going to make these bags. We're going to hustle and go to every single market that we can. We're going to make 5 bags to make 10 bags, and then tell our family, and then hopefully our remote riveters will tell their family and friends, so it was honestly basically we had built-in brand ambassadors with our remote riveters, and that's something that we're continuously looking to refine and grow that area of our business. But another thing too is like just having to focus your development, and right now we're really highly focused on developing the remote manufacturing network. I love the idea of bringing on brand ambassadors and opening it up to something like that, but there's only so much time in a day. And we want to make sure that we've got the best product with the best manufacturing network. And that's kind of what we're focused on right now. Lisa, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, I think we're always looking for military spouses that are into photography, and they have unique ways of sharing and putting brands out there. And so we're working on a program to be able to bring on more brand reps that can help spread the not only the mission of our Riveter and the products, but there's a lot of military spouses out there that have those unique skill sets, and so always reach out to us because we're always looking to grow in that way.
Mhm.
So you guys touched on a little bit about, or you spoke a little bit about Shark Tank. So most of you might know that they secured a deal. Our Riveter secured a deal with Mark Cuban in 2016. So can you guys tell us what was that experience like, or how has it or hasn't it served as a launch pad?
Yeah, definitely one of the one of the best experiences and most terrifying moments of our lives. I think that having Cameron to go through it, I wouldn't have done it any other way. It was kind of funny how we had different kind of moments of either pure terror or like, hey, we can totally do this, and we kind of flip-flopped. So when I was feeling like maybe this isn't the best decision for us, Cameron's like, let's do it, and then maybe the next day it would flip-flop. So it was definitely a good thing to go through with a business partner, and the whole entire process has been amazing for us because even if we hadn't had filmed or things had gone a completely different way, it was absolutely invaluable just to have that type of prep work for a company to go through that, for our team to go through that, conversations about finance and scaling that we've never had before.
Awesome. And I bet like you've learned so much, right? Because there's like you said, you grow your business every single day, really, right? So I bet that just like catapulted everything that you could have known and then some.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah. Companies just don't go through that type of growth on a normal basis. Our company, our team has gone through 600% growth in just a year, and so much props to our team members to be able to get through that. A lot of companies don't actually survive that growth, and not only have we kind of met the challenge, but not only done well, but have become a better, stronger company and team from it.
And I bet that had some, I mean, it takes a lot of time and dedication, right? To take that much of a hit, right? From 600%. It's not a negative hit. That's a good thing for a company. So what drives you guys to keep that going? And what inspires you guys to do the work that you do?
Well, I'm inspired every day when I go to work. So I get to work with incredible people. I've got my business partner Lisa, who she's basically the PC and the Excel spreadsheet to my Mac. Without the other half of the partnership, you wouldn't have our Riveter. So, and then without our, not just our managers, but every single person from remote Riveter to operator to sales associate, we get to see how this business affects their lives in a positive way. And when it gives somebody, when you have somebody that comes to you and says, before our Riveter, before I started working with you guys, didn't know what the heck I was doing with myself. And now I have a purpose, I have a mission. I think when you can bring somebody into a mission and all kind of, run forward towards it, at 110 miles an hour, it makes you feel good and it makes everybody feel good. So
I think what inspires me is constantly redefining what that modern woman should look like. And fortunately for all of us, we have the internet that tells us what we should be. And so, like, society tells us that we should be able to do it all. We're that working mom, we're that mother, we're that volunteer. Suddenly, we should have perfected every craft on Pinterest, gotten 2 workouts in, dinner on the table, and met every single promotion point in our career. And so suddenly, the modern woman has become less about what our celebrations of what our skill sets are, and more about what we're not doing. And so ultimately for me and our Riveter, it's being able to empower each other to be able to do everything. Maybe it's not everything, but it's everything that we do well, and make us whole as a modern woman. And that's kind of what inspires me every day, is all these women I go to work with every day, and the amazing things that they do for their families and their country, and basically empowering each other to keep going.
Positivity breeds positivity, right? So if it's good things are happening, it's going to cause it to grow every day. So what is, or Joy had a question. So with the growth of your company, have you found that the flexibility of your business has still allowed for you to be able to move with your service member?
Lisa's so Lisa definitely has moved significantly, and she has a part of the business where, I mean, it's not ideal for her to be remote, but she's got a part of the business where it's possible. And even if I had to move, we've got a strong team in place that I think we could sustain me being
Both
remote as
partners being okay.
well. But what we had to do was decide, because I get that from my husband, flexible mobile income, Cameron. Why aren't we taking vacations? And so what we had to do was decide that the mission of the company is to provide flexible mobile income for a group of people, and that's active duty military spouses who have to move constantly. And so what we have to do at this point is decide, with each point that comes up in each problem, is it providing flexible mobile income? Is it empowering and inspiring other military spouses? And then how do you make decisions from there? And so some of our, like the line had to change significantly. We were originally making bags out of recycled military materials. Well, that doesn't really lend itself to the big picture of flexible mobile income. Can you imagine having a garage full of recycled military materials, or better yet, a living room? Like your spouse would be like, I don't like this job. And so we had to decide, and we had to choose, remote work for a group of people, and then always put that at the forefront of our mind. And so it does come with, sometimes maybe it's not as flexible for our operators in-house, our employees in-house, or for Lisa and I, but it does provide a niche for a certain group of people that we've chosen to provide that for.
Right, exactly. And I think that if there's any military spouses that want to start their own business, to keep that in mind, that you can figure out ways to really tie that into your business plan, and it can be for the better and not necessarily a hindrance for the company. Because it certainly was a positive for our Riveter.
I mean, and it's another way to think about things, right? It kind of flips things on its head in a very positive way, and makes us think outside of the box of how can we actually do it outside of the norm. Like you had said, about the internet and the Joneses are telling us this one way to act, but
Right.
there are other ways that we can actually have positive results. So,
Right.
what is your most proud achievement with our Riveter thus far?
Oh,
Hard one.
yeah.
I think for me,
So many.
yeah, for me, it's that we're providing so much value to such an amazing group of individuals. But kind of a more on like the nerdy business side, for me, it's the fact that we've made small batch manufacturing profitable in the United States. That's kind of a huge thing to try and do and make happen. Um, and not only that, but we've kind of redefined what it means to manufacture in America, where overseas the workers in factories are not even able to have their children in the same cities because it's so caustic. And all the different inputs and outputs into manufacturing overseas, how here with our Riveter, we're not only able to offer income opportunities to military spouses so that they can work from home and have all the flexibilities that they need in order to have that lifestyle, but we're also creating such a value for for the economy of America as well.
Awesome. Cameron, do you have anything else that is your most proud, or in addition to?
I mean, I think when we walked out of the tank and we had secured the deal, and um, at that moment, Lisa and I had always had this inkling that we were going to build something great, and bigger than ourselves. But to have people, I mean, as human beings, we always look for validation, and we always look for somebody around us to say, you are doing a good job, and I can see the future, and I can see the vision. And prepping for Shark Tank, we actually had multiple mock tanks where we got a lot of business people together. We got lawyers, we got people that were smarter than us in the same room, and we said, just hit us like the sharks would, and let's do this. And we had several mock tanks where it was like, I don't think I would invest. We never got a deal on the mock tanks. And so every time we had to revamp the pitch, get better at what we were saying and how we were saying it. And so to walk in there and pitch it to five, sharks, and walk out with a deal was a pretty proud moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
I never even thought about the mock tank. That's an awesome idea.
Yeah.
That's great.
Those sometimes were those were sometimes worse than the real experience, honestly.
Mhm.
Like, they were
I bet.
rough.
Well, I can
I think
only
my husband
imagine.
was, yeah, I think my husband was the worst, actually. Like, to tell you the
Yeah.
truth.
It's a good way to think about it. He's bulldog over there, right? So
Yeah.
how do you want our Riveter to be remembered?
Um, for me, I guess that kind of sounds like it's no longer. I think like any parent or child, you want our Riveter to outlive you, and if not the company to outlive me, but the idea that a group of like-minded individuals can get together and create something, both literally and figuratively, that creates value to such a community. That's what I hope lives on, and that's what I hope is remembered.
Absolutely. And there's not a point in my mind where I ever thought we could employ or provide income to every single military spouse. And so another thing that has been something that I've seen that's felt incredible is when our riveter inspires or plays a part in validating somebody else's dream. So I'm a military spouse. I didn't think I could do this, but I heard your story and I can do it now. Or I've started it. I've made the first step. I have the website. And so empowering and inspiring other military spouses to follow their own path and redefine whatever identity they see fit, and just getting after it, I think is awesome.
Mhm.
Great legacy to start, I will say, at the very least. So, what do I'm going to go with one question that we have posted, then I'm going to open it up to the floor. But what's one thing that you would recommend to someone who's looking to start their own business?
Hmm. I
I
would say
think,
ditch the business plan.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, depending on what business,
You're
absolutely.
right. Yeah, I mean it's definitely applicable in a lot of places, but I wrote so many business plans for this business and they never went anywhere because I put so much details into. I think it's a kind of a difference in me in that I want to have it perfect before I put it out there. And sometimes you just gotta put caution to the wind and just get started. Take that big step. Um, there are
Yeah,
some businesses where you really should have a business plan. I'm not saying that, but
yeah.
just get started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a huge one. And then I had a thought and then it just went away. Um, and my daughter walked in wearing a princess crown. So, anyway, next one.
Well, I mean, if so, I'm going to expand and ask you guys, if we're going to ditch the business plan, is it more about rolling with the punches and taking the big leap? Is that what you mean when you say that? So, you know, having faith in yourself and knowing that it may not be perfect and just roll with it and being flexible, is that what you mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes we think that we need to have all the answers up front before we can even get started. And I say a lot of the times if we had the capital up front to start the company and possibly get it to the level of what it is today, for Cameron and I personally, we I think we would have spent that money in all the wrong places because we didn't know what the true pillars of our riveter were at that time. We needed we needed to take the steps and figure it out before we could get there. Now, it might be different in other individuals that maybe already have worked in that industry for 10 years and already have that mapped out. It could be a little bit different for them, but I think that getting started and taking those steps and figuring it out as you go is a lot better than just waiting.
Definitely. So, as of what is it, the 8th of March 2017, where do you see your company 5 years from now? Because I know it can change every day. So, as of today, where do you see yourself in the company in 5 years?
I think it's always rooted in helping more military spouses. So right now we're providing income to over 100 military spouses. That's our riveters, our employees, and the brands that we sell uh, on our riveter. We have posted pillar vendors who say that the opportunities in order to grow their businesses have sometimes doubled and tripled their business already. So to me, it's always going to be rooted in expanding that business or that community, excuse me, and helping other military spouses start their businesses. So I'd love to have scholarship programs and things attached to our river where we truly helping other military spouses start their own businesses.
Here. Can I raise my, I'd like it. I'm just kidding. So, awesome. So, for the folks that are on, we're going to open it up for you guys. Is there any questions, additional questions that you guys have for the R Riveter team?
There was one about Army. Cameron and I are both Army, but so many of the other military spouses on our team are from other branches, and we do have a couple handbags that have been made in with inspiration from other branches too. So take a look at the website because there's definitely inspiration from the Navy denim. Was one of the more recent handbags that we've released.
I have one, has the Coast Guard, so I'll take it. I was super excited. So yeah, I loved it. I use it all the time. So there was another question on pop-up shops. Is that something that you guys are looking to have more of in the near future, or plans to do in the near future?
I think that it's something fun to do and kind of pop up all over the country. And especially, we've got a team member in the DC area right now. So Stacy's able to do pop-up shops in and around, Alexandria, Bethesda, Maryland. We have a couple more possibly coming through the pipeline. So anytime that we can take, somebody who is vital to the R Riveter team and they move, and they can take the R Riveter, brand and idea and mission with them. And if that takes the form of pop-up shops, then that's what we do. And if it takes the form of some other remote
Brand ambassador program.
yeah, exactly. It's really about kind of what Lisa spoke to earlier, our team strengths and how do we find those and just really hone in on what we've got on the team.
Awesome. So another question that's come up is for the spouses that may, we move all the time, right? You guys have a great partnership, though, with business partners. What do you say about someone who may be wanting to start something but want to have a business partner or don't know if they can do it on their own? What can help them make that decision to take a partner or to make a leap on their own?
Mm-hmm. I think it's definitely particular to that pair of people. I think that was one of the things that we got the most feedback on was why are you starting a partnership? It's going to end very badly. But especially being a military spouse, I couldn't do it any other way. The times that we needed to get a 100-pound sewing machine up into an attic, our husbands were gone. Like that was the time that they were gone. So Cameron and I got a pulley system and we got it up there together. When her son was sick or all the different things that pop up as a wife, a mother, and all the other things that we're trying to do in today's world, I needed a second person that wasn't necessarily in my family unit to be able to tackle some of the things that pop up, and I couldn't have done it any other way.
Sure, it's nice to have friends that have become family, right? I
Absolutely.
think that's something I've learned recently myself. It's sure nice. Those people are my
Right.
blood now, I will
And
say.
it's funny because Cameron and I were friends beforehand, but the first conversations we had were about starting a business. So we were almost business partners before our business grew with our friendship. So we didn't have years and years of a friendship behind that. And I think that helped as well because we kind of grew our relationship based on more than just a friendship as well.
Had a
Yeah,
business
I
baby.
remember. Yeah, exactly, the business baby. I remember it was all fun and games. Like, okay, you got a new friend, Lisa, and you're talking about starting a company. Okay. And I said, okay, we went to Atlanta and we put the machine on Lisa's credit card. And George was like, wait, hold on, this just got real. Are you sure? You guys don't even really know each other, And it was this feeling, this authentic feeling of I know that we can do something together and that we're on the same level and we're on the same page and just the fire that we went into this partnership with, um, it was like a life of its own.
hmm The other thing is to find somebody that doesn't accept failure. I mean, there has been some very low points in our Riveters history. Every business has them. And I can honestly say that Cameron and I have never talked about quitting.
Mm.
It's never been something that's even come up. So I think you need to find that person that can weather the storm.
So you're fearless, brave, yin to your yang, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. Good luck. I feel like you won the lottery, like I don't even know how you find that person. Um, but
exactly, make an ad out.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so are you guys, I mean, you guys are moms, you're business women. How do you balance it? I mean, I'm not a believer that there is a work-life balance because it never really is that way. You have to compensate one and the other. But I mean, how do you guys balance, if you can, working businesswoman life, food on the table, wife, mom, life?
hmm
How do you guys do it?
Yeah, there's definitely no balance, but I think it's just being intentional in everything that you do so that you feel like everything that you set out to do is being fulfilling. So when I'm at work, I try and be as most efficient as I can. When I'm with my kids, I try to put them just be with my kids and not try and do it all at once because that's when you will go crazy.
yeah, absolutely.
It can't really do that, right? Because if you give everything to everyone, you're giving no one anything.
Right.
So, that's a big thing I've learned as well. And it's a good one. Do you guys have any other tips of how to juggle responsibilities?
I think having like honest conversations with your spouse, that's it's been, I think, for a while there they had to come around to the idea that this wasn't just a hobby, that it was going to be a career for us, and but that took a lot of communication between the two of us and figuring out what's best for our family. And um,
Absolutely. I heard I was listening to and I never even thought about it that like that with your spouse, not your business spouse, but your actual spouse. Until I was listening to Adriana, I'm going to butcher her last name, Dominguez Lofer from the MSB news, and one of her like 5 tips was get your spouse on board first. Like there's no way that you can do this without your life partner completely understanding what's about to go down. And that is so true. That's so true.
So I'm gonna change it a little bit, a little lighter. On are there I would say hobbies, but that's not really a term I use that well. But like I listen to podcasts to help calm down, right? Like to inspire myself or to get outside of my element because I'm also like I work and I have kids and take a little me time. Do you guys have any podcasts or anything that's outside of our Riveter or your families that you
mhm.
like to do?
My family likes to make everything from scratch, so we it's just something we do. We make wine and beer, and when I say we make wine, I mean like we ship grapes in California and we crush and make a whole barrel at once. We have chickens and we make bread from scratch, and it's just something that grounds us, and you have an appreciation for how things are made and where they come from, and um, it's just kind of a nice little hobby that my family and I have that is really grounding.
Oh, what you're
Whenever you
saying is
get
I'm
to
having
hell, we're all going to Lisa's house.
exactly. Like I hear good dinner and good wine and beer. Awesome.
Well, after I listened to Spouse Spouts, enough Dave shout out. No, I think that anytime I felt like a completely overwhelmed point in my life, I realized that I haven't really been exercising and I haven't really been taking the time to take a pause and take some time for me. And so anytime I get back into that routine, I feel like this weight has been lifted. And so, for me, it's 20 to 30 minutes of cardio, I think is a complete lifesaver. And yeah, for me, it's all about finding those intentional priorities in your life. And if that's work, family, and a little bit of you time, then you do what you want to do. And I think so many times we listen to to this notion that there's not enough time in the day when in fact there's plenty of time. We just have to prioritize what we really want. And I think a lot of times it's deciding what that is. Like we get caught up in the day-to-day of our 9 to 5s or our families and so what do you want there's a TED talk, like what do you want next year's Christmas letter to read? And you work backwards from there. Like if you want to talk about your next brilliant family vacation, you make that a priority. And so, I think you live the next year like you would want your next year's Christmas letter to read. And for us, if that's making growing a business and raising healthy families, then that's what we prioritize.
And then you got to get it on Pinterest and make a really nice Christmas card.
Exactly.
From scratch.
Yes.
I would be the one that would be the Pinterest fail, like the hashtag Pinterest fail always. So I like to add that humor in. Awesome. So is there this goes out to the floor so that folks that are on, do you guys have any other questions for the R Riveter folks or for Cameron and for Lisa? Give him a second. All right, so Dave's asking if there's a catalog.
Ooh. Is he going to hold me to the man bag? Which is such a struggle, by the way. Men are so picky when it comes to their man bags. No, I think that when we talk about, wanting to have the best product and the best manufacturing network, oh, thank you, he loves the shaving kit. It's always, how do we so our company was founded in the why, and we had a mission from day one, and then we fit bags into it. And so now we're circling back around and saying, okay, how do we make the best bag with our manufacturing network that we're comfortable in? And so now it's a team of military spouses and a couple of operators and some remote riveters all putting our heads together and saying, well, what does the perfect bag look like for us, knowing our limits as a manufacturing entity. And so it's kind of like a puzzle, but now it's a little bit of everybody designing the bags, and a lot of it is the customer feedback too. So the customer plays a part in designing the bags as well.
I think Jessica asked that too. Is it who designs the bags?
Yeah. I think that, like Cameron just mentioned, it's when it started just in an attic, which some of those designs are still seen in today's bags, the bucket bottom. But now we have a team of military spouses from the remote riveter telling us what works best for their part of the remote manufacturing network to the customers who are telling us that, hey, we would like to see this. So it's really a combination of a lot of different factors coming into it now. But all still very much in-house.
Awesome. So what are you guys currently working on? I would ask what's next, but is there anything that your team is focused on right now and that you're trying to either bring to market or that you're working on as a company? Anything fun?
One of the things that we're doing is taking some of our successful post-to-pillar vendors and creating a deeper relationship with them. And so we're working on some really truly co-branded designs with our posted pillar vendors like Charlie Madison and Deshaun Russell from Southern Elegance, and just working together and partnering on some of these products and making them more cohesive, co-branded product.
Branded product.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. All right, my last call before we begin to wrap up. So I really do appreciate it. I've watched you guys since Shark Tank. I'm a big fan. I met you guys in person last year at the MSOI Awards, and I've been watching you guys ever since. And I will thank you so much for letting me come and interview you and also just have this conversation. It's definitely something that for me is helpful, and I know a lot of our peers as well love to know that there is a success story out there, and that we can jump, that it works, right? And so I appreciate you guys jumping in. So before we end it, for everyone, is that I'd like to thank you guys all for coming, and that we do actually have a discount code. Our Riveter team, Lisa and Cameron, has provided that. It expires at the end of April. It's R Riveter Spouse 17. And so that is available for you guys for joining us today. I know I'm going to take a look and make sure I can take advantage of that. But thank you guys so much for coming.
Thanks
and
everybody for being part of it and for your questions. It was fun.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, well, thanks, everyone. You guys have a fantastic night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
Jen. Bye.